Good early afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to cilinixfxcapital. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to yet another early middle of the day market update. And we're going to do a full update here on crypto. There's quite a lot going on. The title is quite clickbaity, I understand. I will make that up to you, right? But I think I have good reasons to use clickbait in titles and thumbnails. Ultimately, I very much stand behind my analysis. I think it's one of the best analysis here on YouTube. I'm not trying to say that in an arrogant way, and I'm sure it might come off of that, but I truly believe that. So I'm trying to get as many people to watch as possible. But ultimately, to get rid of that clickbait, do I expect that there's going to be a market-wide crash? No. But is it a possibility that we will pull back lower? Yes. Do I expect that at this point of time? Actually, no. But we'll get to that. All right. So let's get right into it. First of all, I wanted to talk about some fundamentals, as I always do. So hopefully that brief summary doesn't spoil all of the fun, because it is a bit of a spoiler. But first of all, if we take a look at all the fundamentals are solid. Fundamentals are good. All right, the S&P 500, all right, well, there's a red candle right here, but ultimately this has been rallying and has continuously been bullish. And then outside of that, if we take a look at some crypto-specific fundamentals, so I try to update this in every video, but we still have a major Coinbase Bitcoin premium, and we also have pretty normalized funding rate, so that's fine. However, and this is something we spoke about yesterday, I mean, I believe that with yesterday's video, you would have actually been very, very prepared for the price action we've had over the last 24 hours. Quite a lot of people reached out to me as well, saying that. But yesterday what we spoke about is that you should be ready for some sort of a pullback, right? Because what we saw yesterday already is that if you take a look at others, for example, right, the best altcoin index we have, we saw that the momentum was dropping down a bit. So we spoke about specifically this move right here. And so far, and this is one of the key reasons why I don't expect a crash, so far the reaction to the first support level, the first major support level we've hit here around $280 billion has been great. All right, now, do I think we can pull back lower into this area, for example, where we have the daily trend around $260 billion? Yes, I think that's a possibility, especially if we get some bad news, which I don't expect, but it is a possibility. That is possible, right? So that is something I think you need to be aware of, and I think you need to take into account when opening positions. But given the reaction we've seen so far, and given all of the fundamentals, I would actually say it's a little bit more likely that this was the pullback, so that, you know, we might test those lows again. That is something you see quite often, so that we do something like this. But that this was the pullback, and that we're now going to get, stability. I don't expect an instant bullish continuation, but stability, and from there a bullish continuation. I don't see, especially if you combine it with the fundamentals, not only that we spoke about at the beginning of the video, but also all the news we've had over the last 2 weeks. I don't see how this is not going to be an uptrend that's going to rally up higher. So those are my thoughts generally about whether we should expect a deeper pullback, a deeper crash. I think you should expect a deeper pullback, in the sense that you need to be ready for it. I don't think it's most likely. I think others looks fine. I think Bitcoin, to talk about Bitcoin here, looks great as well. Let's actually check out my, let's zoom in a bit. So Bitcoin is just incredibly stable right here. I expect that to continue to be that way. Like I said, if we get bad news and we get a bearish drop into this level right here, the main support level around 115 and 114,000, that is a possibility with bad news, or maybe with some volatility coming in, who knows. But to me, that's a buy. Given the fundamentals, that's a buy. Now, when we're talking, and Ethereum, we spoke about this morning. We'll talk about altcoins in a moment. Ethereum, most important level, 3,640. We need to reclaim that today. That is the only thing I want to say about Ethereum, and I am slightly expecting us to do that. But that is mainly based on feelings, and you should not trade based on feelings. So that's also not what I'm doing, but I'm slightly expecting a recovery of 3,650, which would lead to some more Ethereum strength at the very least. XRP, I think, is more likely to get into a consolidation. XRP dropped down quite aggressively and quite a lot. I said this morning, 3.11, 3.15, we need to reclaim that. I think we're doing a good job at that, right? So I do think it's quite likely XRP is going to rally here. But I think it's like what we need to do to rally up higher than what we did is break above 3.4 And I think that's a little bit too much to ask after such aggressive selling and with the momentum it has right now. So those are my thoughts on the majors. When we're talking about some altcoins, like I said, in general, altcoins, I expect something like this, or I think this is what you should be ready for. When we're talking about some specific altcoins, I mean, there's been some shady rallies. I'd refer to that, to them as that. Newt, for example, NEWT has rallied a lot, but these are all, relatively shady Binance listings. In the end, Spark was also that. But ultimately, when we're looking at, more respected or at least trustworthy altcoins, I still think Solana looks very well. Solana is actually on the higher time frames, holding up better than XRP and Ethereum in my eyes. Ethereum naming service, ENS, is holding up incredibly well, as you can see. So that's great. Definitely a coin to keep your eyes on, especially if Ethereum is going to be able to get that reclaim. Litecoin, also incredibly strong. Amazing reaction here. And a bit of and I must say, I do have a position on this since recently, but I still think Blur with NFT is doing better. I still think that's an opportunity that's going to be great soon. But like I said, I did buy right here, so be aware of that, and I am biased. But those are my thoughts. I think that's what you need to know for now this early afternoon. I will be back with more updates throughout the day on X and in Telegram and Discord, so keep your eyes on that. Also, if you're interested in profitable trades, if you're interested in trading guides with one of my main strategies I use, consider joining that. I mean, one of the trades we took, for example, was on Spark, right? So that was by far my best trade this month, where in total it moved up 340% in 3 days since our entry. But those are my thoughts. That's what I think you need to know. Thank you for watching. Take care today, and bye.